Yes. All right. So we are live now. Thanks to everyone for joining in today. We have a new session of the E-Meet Your Design and Fashion School. And the purpose or the objective of this series is so that you really interact with the top management of each school. You keep your options open to private design and fashion schools. And you save money by applying to few schools of your choice, the ones that you relate to, right? We don't want you to be applying to a lot of schools. Just focus on a few and target those and get there. That's the objective. Yeah. So for those of you who have missed the webinar that I've done before on design and fashion schools to consider in 2023, please have a look at this webinar. It's on our YouTube channel, and I will also share this presentation deck with you. Now, ISDI is the school in focus today. They've got their date as 25th for everyone to upload their portfolio, and we had a lot of questions coming in. What do we do with our portfolio? What do we do with the SOP? So we said before the ISDI deadline, we need to have this webinar with all our students. So please feel free to attend this coming Monday. It's going to be done by Umesh. So down to today's webinar, we have Professor Bulbul Chowdhury, who's representing ISDI, and she is the Pro Vice Chancellor of Admissions and Partnerships at Atlas Skill Tech University. Professor Bulbul is a design academician with 22 years of work experience in higher education, graduate of science, university rank holder from Delhi University, and went on to be the topper at NIFT New Delhi. So apart from her academic inclination, Bulbul also has worked with leading brands, including Gap, DKNY, CK, Tommy Hilfiger, Ralph Lauren, and others. All right. She's previously also been associated with other schools apart from like NIFT and BSK and Pearl Academy and others, right? On a personal front, she enjoys gardening and traveling. Before we get into the actual aspect of this, I would like to just remind everybody, please come on to DQ Edge. On DQ Edge, there's an application form link. There is a brief introduction, little information about the school. So please read that. Click on the application form link. Make sure you note the deadlines for applications. And also, I'm going to share these links in the chat box right now. But over to you, Professor Bulbul. Thank you so much for taking your time out to come here. I'm going to stop sharing and looking forward to seeing what you have to say.
Thank you very much, Dion. An absolute pleasure to be here. Absolutely delighted to be doing a session for DQ Labs and for you. And I say this because I've known DQ Labs for almost a decade now. And I think I can say without flinching that you're probably one of the best that there is in the country. And I haven't said this to anyone before, but I really think you're doing a wonderful job with students. And we find that students who come to us from DQ Labs are several notches prepared and are aware of what design is. So that's been very, very useful. So thank you for all the work you do.
Thanks.
And a very warm welcome. I can see some parents attending the session today and also some students for the time that you are investing in attending this session. So great. Thank you for the opportunity, Dion. As you've already said, my name is Bulbul Chowdhury and I serve as the Pro Vice Chancellor for Atlas Skill Tech University. And today, over the next few minutes, I will talk to you about ISDI or ISDI, however you like to call us. I'm joined by my wonderful colleague, Avyuday Roy, who is right now in Bombay. Otherwise, he's based out of Calcutta, and we are both joining from Mumbai. I think it will be useful for you to really, since all of you are in Bangalore, And well, we at best can show you our campus by way of a video. So I have a short video for all of you to watch, which will tell you about what life in ISDI is all about, what's a student's day like, and really what we do and what you should expect while you get to a design school. So let's get started. Let's share.
You look at that building, you're like, that's ISDI, that's us.
There's something about the vibe of this place. Like, I love the open space, I love nature, and it's like a completely different world. It's just a treat for visual creators.
A design school is a happy place. And happy is a man who makes a living out of his hobby.
It's a very beautiful culture that we have set at the school, and you'll find the senior students also very warmly welcoming and mentoring the younger ones.
Nature with the people, with the conversations, and the passion for the same thing. There's like a lot of energy over here.
The big moment of us. We've been online, on Zoom. Now suddenly we are coming back and expressing ourselves as groups of people who can physically work together to create things. Design teaches you to be free and sets you off, and once you are on this journey, at some point it pulls you back. How do you then therefore create your imagination in a context which is a working, live, physical service or a solution?
It's about getting them to understand what a technical instrument or a process might be able to do for them if they just apply their imagination to it and try to adapt it to a different situation.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light.
Today, industry finds a lot of gap in the ability of a student to use technology.
We introduce technology to the students and remove any fear that they might have of it by breaking it down into easily digestible smaller chunks, and everything is interlinked. So in one course you start thinking, in the other you start making based on the thinking.
For you, for you, for you, for you, for you,
Learning every day how to work in a team, how to manage people, how to listen to people, how to understand people.
The idea of collaboration is the key, because that is the way forward for any and every design department or domain, correct? Because you need to work together, you need to ideate together, you need to learn to make things together, right?
I just wanna be happy, happy tonight.
What we celebrate is diversity. So the idea is to get students from across the country, possibly across the globe, to come and study together.
I'm actually from Gujarat. I'm from Bangalore, but I'm super excited to shift to Bombay now. I just love this city.
Happier tonight.
to make this kind of education available to a very large number of people who aspire to come to a city like Mumbai and call it home and possibly live here for the rest of their lives.
We've built the curriculum in such a manner that Mumbai city becomes the experience lab for them.
We focus a lot on student development programs. We focus on pastoral care. We take care of a lot of student well-being.
So we do things that create impact, changing the world one smile at a time. We collaborate with NGOs. We do social media programs to raise awareness on certain topics.
There are so many things that I want to do. I go up and I look at the library and I think about how we could sit here and read. And I look at the turf and I think that I want to play here.
I just wanna be happy, I just wanna be happy.
Finally, when they are out in the industry, and when you get feedbacks from the industry mentors saying that your kids are good, they're doing very well, and they have got people whom they were looking for, and with the right skill set and attitude.
That's what the differential is with our students. They've had so much industry experience from the first day at ISDI and the first day at Atlas, going forward, that they're ready to take on any kind of challenge.
We believe that every student that we are working with now is going to be relevant in 2075 and beyond.
Every single child who comes into the university, get them to really harness their potential much beyond they even imagined.
It's a proven track record. There's a future here that is bright.
Now I'm just super excited to start the rest of the year and actually live and breathe on this campus.
This is like, people want to be here.
Super. So great. I think that pretty much tells you about life on campus. And I'm going to use a presentation to tell you more about our university and about ISDI. So once again, welcome everyone to our presentation on ISDI. So we are in Bombay, and often you will see ISDI and Atlas mentioned together. So Atlas, which itself is an acronym for Arts, Technology, Liberal Arts and Sciences, is the university that ISDI is part of. So over the 4 years that students study at ISDI, they are part of Atlas Skill Tech University. Next one. Next one. Well, you've seen a fairly exhaustive video on our campus. So I'm not really going to talk a lot about the campus itself. We are a city campus. We are in the heart of Mumbai. We are in a place called Bandra Kurla Complex, for those of you who are familiar with Mumbai. And this is really what we look like. We are a vertical campus, pretty much like most campuses in cosmopolitan cities, whether it's London or New York. It's particularly useful for design schools. So this is where we are, right here in Mumbai. Here in Bombay, here in Atlas, of course, today we are largely going to talk about our School of Design and Innovation, or ISDI, which is the first of the 3 schools that you mentioned here, and you see mentioned here. But we are also a School of Management and Entrepreneurship. And we also have a 3rd school, which is our School for Data Sciences. I'm aware that all of you attending today's session are design aspirants. So we will restrict our presentation to the first of these 3 schools, which is our School of Design and Innovation that offers bachelor's in design programs. Many of you are familiar, or I'm assuming are familiar with Parsons, the new school, which is ranked as amongst the top 3 design schools globally. It is in US, it is in New York. And what we really do here at ISDI is that we offer the programs of Parsons in India. Now, often parents and students ask as to what is this relationship between Parsons and ISDI? And I think the simplest way to say this would be by way of an example. Let's say, you were from Delhi Public School North or Delhi Public School South, or for that matter, any school in Bangalore. And if it were a DPS, the curriculum that DPS follows is that of CBSE. So ISDI is like any of your schools or junior colleges, however you refer to it. And CBSE or IB or A-levels or ISE, the curriculum that you follow is like Parsons. So ISDI is the entity that offers the Parsons curriculum. So what it means is that you're studying a completely international curriculum right here in India. You are studying the Parsons curriculum. And therefore, all students on completing the 4 years undergraduate program or the Bachelor's in Design program are certified by Parsons. I've already said this before, the curriculum that you study is that of Parsons. Faculty development, of course, is taken care of by Parsons, and also there are opportunities for students to exercise student exchange opportunities, and more often a master's progression to Parsons. So on completing your 4 years of undergrad, you can go and complete your master's in Parsons, but of course you could go to several other universities. This is the more recent mega convocation, actually, because we put together all the 4 batches that hadn't had a graduation through COVID. And this was at the very popular Geo Center that the convocation was held. Okay, I think we'll talk to you a little bit about our campus. Well, we are in Bombay, and a very exciting city for all of us. I've not belonged to the city forever, came here at some point in my life. But I think it's a great city. It's a confluence of the media industry, entertainment industry, the film industry, advertising agencies, and of course the design industry at large. And in many ways, there's a lot of design employment that gets created right here. One of the reasons why ISDI started with Bombay, we only have one campus in the country, and that's right here in Mumbai. We've seen a fairly exhaustive video which talked about our campus, but all I want you to remember through this slide possibly is that it's a truly international campus right here in India. And I've heard this, a lot of our international delegates who come to us from various parts of the world say this time and again. It really is something to take back. Even if you were a day visitor, you're likely to remember the campus in years to come. We are in Bandra Kurla complex, so we are in the midst of what is called the corporates around Bombay. We are centered across by technology companies, consulting firms, pharmaceuticals, of course, the fashion students in the retail and the apparel industry, advertising majors are right here. And if you're wondering, why would I show this in a design presentation? Remember, today design students are working across sectors. In fact, our most recent placement opportunity that was done, I think about 3 days back, was at Infosys, where 14 of our graduates have been selected and offered an employment opportunity for when they graduate next year. So between technology, consulting firms, retail, apparel, real estate, advertising, design studios, design corporates, we are in the midst of a whole lot of them. We can skip this one. Okay, let's talk about the design programs that we offer. I think I'll come straight to the next slide. Okay, now these are the 8 undergraduate courses that we offer, and on completing 4 years at ISDI, you would be awarded a bachelor's in design degree. It could be in communication design, interiors, fashion, product, strategic design. By the way, strategic design is a very interesting course, which is a combination of design and business. And I only know of NID that offers this program. Having said that, at a master's level, at ISDI, we offer this program at an undergrad level. 3D animation and VFX and fashion communication and styling. So these are the 8 undergraduate courses that we offer. Now, oftentimes a student is not necessarily certain as to which of these 8 courses is best suited to them. Sometimes students are very certain. In certain cases, they aren't. And what you might find useful to know is that when a student comes to ISDI, everybody studies a common first-year curriculum like pretty much in any US university. And that freshman year or the first year program itself is called first year studies. Having done a certain common first year, you then choose your specialization in the second year, and you can opt for any of these 8. If you apply to ISDI, you will see in the application form, you can choose your course, or you can actually go to a category called undeclared or undecided if you're not very sure about which course you're likely to pursue. Having said that, as far as I'm concerned, everyone can, whoever applies for a course can also revoke his decision and be undeclared or undecided and take that decision 1 year down the line. Well, okay, now this is something I personally find very useful, and all of us may have had an experience in life, or even if we were in school or are in school, there's always a certain subject that you want to study or something you want to learn that is not necessarily a part of your curriculum. Okay. So let's say when I was in a design school many years back, for some reason, photography was not part of the course that I was studying. Of course, in today's time and age, I think photography is all pervasive, but back then, for some reason, my course did not have photography, but another program had. And I hoped that I could have learned some photography while on that course, but there wasn't a provision to. Here, while you come to ISDI and when you become part of Atlas, students can pick up electives from any of the other schools. So from our School of Business, from our School of Data and Analytics, or from our film school, or programs in new media and communication. So this is just a suggested list. Of course, when you apply for it, eventually the list will be far more exhaustive. So while studying at ISDI, you have an option, or rather you have an opportunity to pick up an elective from something outside of design. Okay, so I find a lot of design students opt for fundraising or startup incubation. I've even seen design students pick up an elective in stock markets. So it's as diverse as that. And of course, it helps broaden your perspective to life and learnings. Next one. All right. What I'd like you to look at, of course, I think I've spoken a little bit about the first band, which is the pedagogy across the first year, second year, third year, and fourth year. As I said earlier, the first year studies is common for all students, and it's only in the second year and onwards that they get into their specializations. So if you and I were students in the same class, everyone goes through the same first year, and then we get into our product or interiors or communication or graphics or whichever other course. International, now I think it is our endeavor and it is our desire that every student who comes to ISDI must get at least one international experience. And this we do by way of summer schools, emergent programs. This January, we are sending a group of 30 students to the Netherlands for a very popular project we do with a university in Utrecht called Imagining Tomorrow. And this is a very rich project which is executed every January. There are also exchange opportunities, which is my personal favorite, where students go and spend 6 months to 1 year, most likely in the third year, in certain cases also in the second year, and go and spend 6 months to 1 year in a partner university. And we also receive a student in exchange, and which is why it is called the International Exchange Opportunity. The industry band that you see right there, these are the opportunities for students to do 4 internships. So it starts with an observership, apprenticeship, internship, and eventually a capstone project, and then they're ready for their final placement. So just to demonstrate that by better, next slide, please. Yeah. Maybe I can skip this up. We'll go to the next one. So let's look at this student's journey, Aishwarya Kulkarni. And by the way, this is pretty much every student's journey, okay? They start in the first year with at the end of the first year and before they're getting into the second year, which is referred to as the observership. So in this case for Aishwarya was very clear all along. She's a student from Mumbai, and she was always very clear all along that she wanted to study communication design. In the second year, she did her an apprenticeship with Leaf, which is a small, they do some brilliant work, exhaustive design work called Leaf Design. Her third internship was with a marketing and communication firm. Her capstone project, which is normally a precursor to final placement, was for a skincare company. And eventually in 2020, when she graduated, she was one of the 6 students who started her career in TCS or Tata Consultancy Services, and she continues. She's done 2 years at TCS and she continues to work over there. So this is the trajectory, or this is a journey for every student who comes to ISDI. Next one. Okay, we go next one. I think I'm going to just be mindful of time, but I think what I'm trying to say, get across through this slide to all of you is that students, when they come to a university, all universities are either teaching universities or research universities largely, right? When you're in the first year, in the second year, you obviously want to be taught by people who've been there, done that, who actually can roll up their sleeves and work with you, help you 3D print, what you really saw in the video before I started. But as a university, we also need to create new knowledge, new truth, unravel truth that exists, and that is research, and that is the purpose of research. So there are research faculty as well as there are teaching faculty. And of course, in the first year, second year, third year, you're largely going to be working with the teaching faculty. Some of you who take an interest in research at some point will also start working with faculty who are currently pursuing their PhDs or have already completed theirs. Next one. Okay, I think we can just keep going, Abhida. Yeah, I think the videos showed all of our lab and the facilities, so we can keep going. Yeah, well, of course, there's a multi-cuisine cafeteria, which is more sophisticated, but there's also the standard student canteen for your day-to-day needs. We've got, of course, post-COVID, one has to be mindful of, or even otherwise, any kind of emergency. So there's a 24/7 ambulance. There's also some sports facility. And for student housing, because 70% of the students who apply to ISDI come from cities outside Mumbai. In fact, Bangalore is the second or the third largest city from where students come to the design school. So there's adequate housing, and it's truly international quality student housing for students here in Bombay. So I think we can talk about how to get into ISDI. So this, of course, are all pictures of student experience. It might be useful for you to be in touch directly with some of our students, either through Instagram or various other social media platforms, just to know what life is like. But having said so, the students get an opportunity to learn amongst themselves from their peers. We've got a buddy system. Given that a very large number of students come from cities outside Mumbai, in the first year, you do want help, getting around, navigating around the city, or just your basic questions that need to be answered. And I think a buddy really helps at that point. We also have a very active student council, clubs. There are over about 18 active clubs, and we expect every student to be a member of at least one club. Yeah. Of course, we also have a girls football team, not just the boys. So there will be various opportunities to get an international experience, and I talked about it. And these are some pictures of some of the work that we do consistently with some of the universities. The Rca London Project that you see right on top is actually a peer-to-peer learning exercise where there is no teacher really. The senior students of Rca or the Royal College of Arts, which is ranked as a world #1 school for masters, actually tutor the younger students of ISDI. And similarly, you can see various immersive trips. The one that you see beneath, where people are holding posters and banners, is actually the Imagining Tomorrow project that we do in the Netherlands every year. So this is one of the pictures from there. For students who are interested in fashion, there will be opportunities to not just attend, but actually participate in fashion weeks, whether it is in Dubai, whether it's New York, whether it is London. We are also considering Tokyo this year and South Korea. And of course, for those of you who wish to attend the fashion weeks here in India, we anyway do the spring, summer, and fall, winter right here in Bombay, twice a year, the Lakme Fashion Week. I think we've talked a little bit already about international opportunities. These are, see, when students finish their undergraduate course, 4 years, there are really 3 pathways, right? Majority of them, almost 85% of the students get into an employment situation. Roughly about 10% of our students currently go for masters, and these are some of the these are largely UK based. Actually, all of them are UK based universities on this slide, and Scottish universities. So these are some of the places that students have gone on in the UK to pursue the masters. Of course, US is also a very popular destination, especially with students from Bangalore. For some reason, I find that there is a they gravitate towards US if at all they want to do masters. And of course, they can also start something their own, for which we have an incubation cell. But coming to the last section of my presentation, which is on let's keep going a bit. Yeah. Okay. Well, one of the advantages, of course, I'm sure this is an advantage in any large city, but definitely for us here in Mumbai, is the fact that you get to meet the who's who. Most recently, in the last 1 month, I've had an opportunity to, along with the students here, I've had an opportunity to interact with Mr. Deepak Parekh, the managing of HDFC, Mr. Chandrasekharan of Tata Sons. So what I'm trying to say is really, I think Mumbai is a huge opportunity to also learn from people who will make an impact. And of course, given that we're in the heart of city, access is easy to our industry guests. We're doing a project right now for C8 tires, which is to really upcycle the old tires. And that's a project that has been given straight from the head office. And of course, we are doing some prototypes for them. I'm going to not talk about this as yet. This is, of course, it's a social project we did for Mumbai public schools. We can go past these. Let's come to the placement section right away. Yeah, okay. Now, this is important, right? One of the reasons, or rather one of the things that most students, and rightly so, look forward to when they come to a design school is spectacular, worthwhile employment, internships, and placements. And this is a journey. Just as you study 4 years before you're ready to get into a life, similarly, all of these industry experiences and exposures is also a journey, right? So you must get a certain type of exposure in the first year, second, third, and fourth. And I did talk about that model earlier. These are some of the signed organizations with whom our students tend to work time and again. Next one, please. Yeah, okay. This is typically the way, in fact, Career Connect has already started for the batch that will be graduating 7 or 8 months from now. If you look at the pictures beneath, you can see guests from the industry reviewing the portfolios of students who are presenting their final portfolios on their laptops with the objective of seeking a final placement opportunity. So this is, of course, last year, which while we were still dealing with COVID, we had about 110 companies. Placement season starts in October. This year we started early in September, and really through September, October, November, and December, until maybe January, all of the 6 months are spent on creating employment opportunities for the graduating batch. We've also had, this is a word that you're all probably familiar with, which comes more from a business school, which is called day zero placements. And of course, happy to say that design students and design schools often are also approached by companies for 0-day placements. So between Infosys, TCS, Larsen & Toubro, Philips, Deloitte that came to us last year for 0-day placements, HCL, these have been some of the organizations that have come to us on 0-day for placements, seeking some of the best students. Last year it was Deloitte, this year it was Infosys. Over the years, okay, now this is this year actually. So IBM, Dr. Reddy's, Infosys, these are already placements started for graduating batch of 2023. And I think there should be one more. We had IBM and Dr. Reddy's, and there's one more anyway. So that's okay. And also, if you look at how placements for a certain company, this is Deloitte as a case study, 2021, 2022. Deloitte is not a traditional design company, it's actually a consulting company. But if you look at Deloitte, when they came to us for the very first time in 2021, they took 5 of our students. 2022, this presentation says 15, but they took another 4, so 19 students. So what I wanted to look at is not just the fact that ISDI students must have done spectacularly well for them to keep coming back for hiring from us, but also the parents, I want you to get the confidence that design as a requirement is increasing significantly for most organizations. The growth in design employment for these organizations is nearly 4 or 5 times. Infosys was traditionally taking 5 students. This year, I see them take 14 students. So this is again Infosys 2021, Infosys 2022. You already saw Infosys 2023 slide earlier, and so on and so forth. I think we can come to the TCS, likewise, Larsen & Toubro, some more organizations where students have sought placement. Our tuition fee our annual tuition fee is to the tune of 6 lakhs. And this is the semester-wise breakup of the fee. All right, next one. Right. There are scholarships for study at ISDI. There are students, meritorious students can apply for the merit scholarship. There's also the need-based financial assistance for students who qualify to get into ISDI but may not have the financial wherewithals. All right. Are we not talking about the ISDI challenge this slide? Okay. Well, if you wish to be part of ISDI, maybe Abhyuday can bring the slide here. You write what is called the ISDI challenge, which is in 3 parts. You take a design aptitude test, you upload your portfolio, and you eventually take an interview. I think if you get in touch with DQ Labs, they'll be able to advise you really on how to apply to ISDI. It's a very unique selection process. Some of the things are requirements, whether it's a statement of purpose or a portfolio, may be slightly different from a few others. So it might be useful to know what is our selection process. And all the very best if you're taking the ISDI challenge. Back to you, Dion.
Thanks so much, Bulbul. Very, very impressive presentation. Open to everyone out here for questions, but there's already a few questions here. Mrunalini was the first to ask the question about the ISDI challenge SOP and portfolio session, which is on 14th October. Mrunalini, I think, I'm not sure what you mean by 14th October. Are you talking about the...
Dion, we just got a message on WhatsApp. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So saying it is on 14th, but in your presentation, you had shared it as 17th. So I was...
Yeah, I think I can intervene, Dion. Possibly I could be wrong or right. Have you already applied?
I've understood the issue. I think the team has sent the wrong date in that. This is our internal webinar.
Sorry about
right. I've not checked that message, but I'll get it checked. The date is the 17th, not the 14th. So I'll get that corrected. Okay. Somnath is asking, Somnath's question has been answered. So G. Munjal is asking, is there a separate category for international students?
Is there a separate category for international students? I'm not sure if I understand that question, Dion. I mean, the selection process is just the same. So there are no reserved seats for NRIs or Indian settled abroad or international students. Everyone, ISDI challenge is designed for people across geographies to be able to take, and there is no quota or allocated seats. Okay. But I'm not sure if I understood the question.
So that's what I wanted to know, Bulbul. Thank you.
Okay, helps. Thanks.
Thank you.
Is there a fee difference for?
No, there isn't. The fee for NRIs or Indian citizens or foreign nationals is exactly the same.
Okay, thanks. Bhaskar is asking, do you limit the seats for the specializations or apply any criteria at the end of the foundation year?
It's a brilliant question, Bhaskar, right?
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant question. No, there is no rationing of seats for any of the specializations. The decision to pursue a specialization, whether it's product, communication, interior, or whichever else of the 8 specializations that we have, is entirely that of the student. There is a cap on the number of students in a class, so which is 30 or 35. So if there are about 70 students, let's say, who opt for product design, that will make for 2 batches in the second year. Or even if it may not be a whole sort of number, it could be anywhere in between. So it is the decision to take a specialization rests entirely with the students. What we do is we help them take that decision if they so desire. In most cases, students, by the time they're 6-7 months into the program, I think they have immense clarity as to which course is suited best to them. But there may be situations, I've seen students sometimes confused between fashion design and fashion styling, but I find that more and more reduced. When students join, I found a lot of students confused between between communication design and product design. And in fact, to tell you the truth, I find very few students initially, or relatively few students apply for a course called strategic design management, but over a period of 1 year, I've seen a significant swing for strategic design management. So the whole idea is for you to be able to go through the first year, understand the first year, and then make a decision about the course that you wish to do, because pretty much that's the skill that you're going to get hired for. right? So how can anyone else just take that decision other than you?
Awesome.
So yes, you can take whichever specialization irrespective.
All right, but is there a benefit? Now, this is a question from Rahul. Is there any benefit to declaring the specialization at the time of application?
Again, a very good question. Well, the benefit is that, well, one is we get to know which way is the wind, right? So I know that certain courses are progressively getting more popular. If you ask me about 12 years back, 9 out of 10 students in the country actually applied for fashion. Today, if you look at ISDI, it's almost a 1:1 for pretty much all the courses in terms of application. So it gives us a sense. But how it might be helpful to you, if you were to at least give us an inkling of the course that you like, is that while we had your interview scheduled, let's say you chose product design, right? We try and ensure that somebody who has, the interviewer who talks to you is either from strategic design or product design, because the guess is that you probably want to talk more about product than maybe about anything else. If you apply for fashion, I'll have someone from the fashion design interview you, because you're probably more comfortable talking about fashion than possibly, other things. So to that extent, it helps, but it's not as, I can't think of any other reason why choosing a course to start, early on is of any other advantage.
Okay. Smita is asking, has the admission process started for 2023 already? Yes, Smita, we've been sharing the links on the group. So if you're not on the groups, please contact the your counselor, your SOP, and they will connect you. All right. Dia Parik is asking, I heard about a 2+2 program to study at abroad colleges. Could you tell us more about the selection process?
For the 2+2 program. Okay. Well, selection process for ISDI is the same for everyone. Having said that, I think what she means by the 2+2 is the national education policy permits students to complete part of the program in India and complete the rest of it in any other university in India or even globally. Of course, so students have in the past exercised the opportunity to do 2 years in India, and the remaining 2 years, initially it was Parsons, but I do find students go to several other universities as well. And so you do 2 years in India and the remaining 2 years in the universities abroad. And this is unusual, but Dion, it works for ISDI because the quality of education is internationally recognized. It's a Parsons curriculum. So mapping, of course, is very easy. It's like if you're moving from one CBSE to another CBSE in grade 12, well, you don't normally do that. But if you were to map just the subjects, even before you look at the marks, right, to say, hey, did you study the same subjects, right? It maps exactly the way it does because of the Parsons curriculum. The next thing that a university that you wish to join, having studied part of your program at ISDI, they would look at your portfolio, and not the portfolios that you have at this point in time, but the work that you've done during 2 years of study at ISDI. And they want to see whether the quality of work and the quantity of work is similar or on the same lines as the kind of work that students over there do. So that is really what the 2+2 is. And remember, as design students, we are all as good as our portfolios, right? So it is really a portfolio that a receiving university will evaluate.
Cool. And, there's a few build-up questions on this. How many students, this is a question from Vikas Sharma, how many students on average are able to take advantage of that, program?
So theoretically, Dion, that number is really taken that the decision by the student, right? When students come here, a lot of them ask about this question. When it eventually comes to go, I find, well, of course, COVID were unusual times and nobody ever even applied for those 2 years. But most recently, I sent a student to Nottingham Trent University, and her mother just sent me her new identity card and all her student union badges and all of that. And interestingly, the child didn't want to go at all, but the mother was very keen for her to go. Now, what happens is, so I've found pre-COVID, what I found was roughly about 10 to 15 students exercise this 2+2 opportunity. But when the manner in which they ask me about this, it almost appears that the entire batch wants to go for the 2+2. But what happens, I think, once they come to Bombay, Bombay has a unique way of taking over their lives, right? Bombay itself is just so much to give. One. Two, I think the other thing, they also become mindful of, Dion, and this may not be so much for students in Bangalore, but who am I to say, is also the cost, right, of this education. If you were to study this program in India, the tuition fee at India is about 6 lakhs. Now, if you were to look at the tuition fee of Parsons annually, I think it would be to the tune of at least 35 lakhs. And then, of course, stay and food and everything else comes in. So if you're looking at a apple-to-apple comparison, which means ISDI equivalent in US, like a Parsons, you're really looking at a budget of between living and tuition of at least about 60 to 70 lakhs per annum, right? And if you were to study 2 years, you're talking about almost 1.5 crore, which I do think for undergrad is a lot of money. And so I think those realities, John, at one time I found a lot of students from Bangalore would ask and actually even exercise the 2+2, because many of them back then, maybe even now, had a US passport, right? So yes, there is no number. If you wish to pursue 2 years in India and the remaining 2 years, and you do think that it will add a lot of value, that you can exercise this. I also want you to know that it's not just about going abroad, right? It's about going to a certain country and a certain university. Certain courses in design qualify for what is called STEM courses, or science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, like a strategic design course, a management course, or a communication design course, or a product design course is likely to qualify as STEM. Certain courses don't qualify for STEM. So if you're looking at working in the US on completing your undergraduate course, then you may want to go for a course that qualifies as STEM, because the STEM visas are more. So there's a lot of other dynamics that I think students will become familiar with once these decisions have to be taken, and you finally want to put your money where the mouth is. So it's a long answer to a short question, but I just wanted to give you all the other dynamics as well.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, and on those lines, I think, Mrunali, that has answered your questions as well, Mrunalini, because your question was related to annual fee and estimates of what the spend would be. So I'm hoping that's answered your question. Vriddhi is asking, is there another...
Dion, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Mrinalini. I was more specific with respect to international exchange program, which is a part of their academics, not the 2+2 program.
Got that. So,
yeah,
can I take that, Dion?
Yeah, go on.
So, Mrinalini, good news for you is that when you go on an exchange program, it's tuition free, which means you do not pay any tuition fee. You may be going to a university where the tuition fee is twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times higher than the Indian tuition at ISDI. But since you're going as an exchange student, you're not going to pay the differential fee. Okay. However, you in most cases, you will pay for your living and for your food. Now, if you were to go to a city like Berlin in Germany, because quite a few exchange programs exist there, then we are looking at roughly about 50,000-60,000 rupees a month on living and I'm talking about shared living. I'm not talking about taking a house, but yeah, about 50,000-60,000 rupees. And Berlin is an economic city, but London would be more expensive. So really what you're spending on is in your own travel, your food, and your day-to-day expenses. There is no tuition fee for exchange program. And likewise, when we receive a student, they don't pay any fee to ISDI because they've already paid to their home university. Does that answer your question, Mrunalini?
Yeah, yes, good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sorry, and the international exchange program, any number of students can really...
Oh, yes. Twice a year, we send students in September and we send students in January. Of course, the September batch is more popular because January you go into peak of winters, right? But so September is more popular. COVID years, we didn't have students go. They applied for it. They got invitations. They eventually did not go because parents weren't very certain about how there weren't even flights for months together. Yeah.
Yeah. So Vriddhi is asking, will there be another cycle of admissions?
Yes, I don't have the dates and I don't have the number of seats that will be given. We are now a university. Until I was a university, my 3 cycles were all declared and were on the website. I have a certain number of seats and I can take a certain number of applications. It can be infinite. Depending on the number of applications that we receive in the first cycle and the number of seats that may be available, we will declare the second cycle dates. But in any case, I worry about the dates for the second cycle, or I'm not worry, maybe a strong word, but largely because CBSE and ISC have declared that they will start the examinations in February. So I definitely do not want to do any examination in January, February, while the students are writing the board examinations, which is why we've not declared any dates. In my opinion, if you are very keen to consider ISDI, I would think go ahead and take the first cycle, which is really the cycle that most students apply to us in. And I do think that many of you may be preparing for government universities as well, and in which case, you probably want to look at those may want to look at those results as well. Having said so, it might be useful for all of you to know that UGC regulations are very kind on the student and the parent and the family. If for any reason, if a student were to join us and for any reason they were to withdraw, as per UGC guidelines, we refund everything. Now that shouldn't be the reason to come to ISDI, okay? But having said so, in all fairness, you should know your rights.
All right, thanks for that. Gaurav Muljal is asking, if a child applies in cycle 1 and doesn't get through, can the child apply again in cycle 2?
Well, like I said, I don't have the dates yet, but if you did not get into the first cycle, yes, you can apply. But what might be useful for you to do is do a session with us to find out what did not go right. Okay, because if you don't know where you did not perform well, chances are you're going to make the same mistake again, right? And that happens. I've seen students not get through in the second round, and that's not a very encouraging statement to make. But we do these sessions where you should come and ask, figure out, was it the portfolio, was it the SOP? Of course, we don't assess. Was it the portfolio? Was it the project? Was it the interview? Or was it the design aptitude test? Or was it a section of the design aptitude test? We'll let you know, and you can get better at that aspect. And thereafter, it makes sense to take the second cycle.
All right. A couple of people are asking, Priya and Somnath is asking regarding the hostel facilities. The fee is separate from the tuition fee, but what is, how much does the hostel come to?
Dion, it's not, until this year, it was not mandatory to stay in our hostel. And so living our hostel tuition, fee, is the fee the right word, or tariff, I think. Our hostel fee varied from 19,000 per student per month to 30,000 per student per month, depending on the kind of comfort and space that you are using. We are in the process of acquiring a new hostel as well. But really, in terms of planning, that may be a broad way to plan. The more you load a hostel, like if you have the new hostel that we want to make is as international as it can get, and to that extent there could be, and depending on how many people you want to share the configuration with, these will vary a little bit, but 20 to 30 for this year, the band was really between a 20 to 30 for hostel accommodation.
All right. Viha is asking about scholarships.
I'm talking about per month, huh?
Yeah,
okay,
right.
Yeah.
Viha is asking about scholarships for UG. Are they scholarships, and how do you get them?
Plenty of scholarships. Lot of scholarship actually. For every 7 students at ISDI, I think 1 is on some kind of financial grant or scholarship, and so you should know about this. The most popular, of course, is the merit scholarship, which means that if you've consistently performed well from 9th onwards, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, your academic performance, and of course, we will let you know what your percentage mark should be. I think it was 90%. It was 90% and upwards across 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Then you can apply for the merit scholarship. We would then look at the ISDI challenge marks and award you the scholarship. There's the other one, which is need-based financial assistance, which technically is not a scholarship, but if the family's income is below a certain point, then you're eligible to get the need-based financial assistance. And very benevolent scholarships have been given there. We also have some endowments, which are corporates who fund education for students across all 4 years, sometimes completely, sometimes partly. We also have scholarships for children where parents or significant income of the family is coming through teaching. And we also have something for children where the parents or a parent has served or is serving in the Indian Armed Forces. So the armed forces, the educators, the merit scholarship, and the need-based financial assistance and corporate endowments are some of the ways in which you can apply for a scholarship. Basically, figure out, are you, is your father or mother serving in the Indian Army, Navy, Air Force? Then go ahead and apply for armed forces. If your parents are teachers, or if really the significant income of the family comes from teaching in a school or a primary school, then apply for the educators. If you have consistently got high academic records across 9, 10th, 11, 12, please apply for the merit scholarship. And if your family's income or a financial situation does not permit you to get a complete education at ISDI, apply for the financial assistance. There's a certain amount. We have to yet declare the amount for this year as to whether the income is below, I think it's below, if the family's income is below 12 lakhs. But I know where people have incomes below 20 lakhs and they have applied as well and gotten it. So we may need to revisit that quantum, but those are the 4 or 5 types of financial assistance and scholarships available to you.
All right. Interesting question from Karishma, who's asking, are there sports scholarships?
Yes, there are. In fact, you must thank the Indian government because they created this category. But their requirements are very stringent. They say that if you've got someone who's played at Olympics, Nationals, Commonwealth, then you must give them a scholarship. So I keep joking with my team and I say, if you see Neeraj, what is that guy? Neeraj
Chopra.
Yeah, with his javelin, then make sure you give him a scholarship. But we have given scholarships to those who've represented their particular sport, even at state level. And I know this year at least 5 or 6 students did get a scholarship in that category as well.
All right.
Sometimes it could be hybrid, Dion. Like I know it could be sports come need, So sometimes life is not so straitjacketed. It could be a hybrid or a combination of 1 or 2 scholarships as well.
All right. Thanks for that. Thanks for that. Now, Sai Saket has a question, and it's an interesting question. Now, he wants to become a filmmaker. So what is the program that you would probably suggest for him?
Well, depends on what aspect of filmmaking is he looking at, because is he wanting to get into direction? Is he looking at a certain aspect of filmmaking? We are not a film course, right? We are not FTTI. So depending on what aspect of film, if you want to be an animator, if you want to get into 2D animation or 3D animation or special effects, if you want to make digital movies, then yes, you can come into our 3D animation or VFX course, which is part of the design school. If you want to learn acting, no, we're not the place. If you want to learn direction, we are possibly not the place. But the communication design has pathways in documentary filmmaking or filmmaking, but we're not a film school, right? So really you need to ask yourself, which aspect of filmmaking are you interested in? If it's acting, no. And if it's direction, possibly you could look at other schools. But if you're looking at digital content creation, then yes, then we are the place.
All right, Saket, so thanks for that question. What we'll do is we'll connect after this webinar and discuss further. Right. Probably the last question from Priya VS, who's asking, what's the average salary at placement? Any differences between specializations?
This year, I'm really very excited. You want to see what happens because to just give you an example, Dr. Reddy's, they came to us last year. This is a Bangalore-based opportunity, and they had 2 of our students who started at 8 lakhs, right? The same company this year for same profile, I think it's a little unfair on the kids who went there last year, is at 11.8 or nearly 12 lakhs, right? So it's a 25% hike over the last offer of last year, right? I do hope my other 2 students who are already there have got 25% increments to at least break even. Infosys was about 8.2 last year. Infosys this year is at 11. Samsung made an offer at 15 with a commitment of 25%, 20 or 25% definite increase year on year or second year. So I think it may be safe to say that it is averaging out at about 10. All right. I'm saying averaging out. Remember, sometimes very large companies are actually not the ones who pay the most. Sometimes the smaller firms pay much more, but you can work with an assumption of a band of 10 to 11 as averages. The second part of the question was, does it vary as per specializations? Well, not really. What changes is, are you working for a large corporate or are you working for a studio? Studios are normally companies that designers start, whereas corporates are, the names such as those that I've taken. So it really depends on whether you're working for a design studio. Sometimes studios may pay more or sometimes it could pay lesser. So really, no, it's not as though a product designer is likely to earn more, or they are all banded. So if they're coming to a tier 1 school, then they know that they cannot offer under 9 lakhs. So that's the way it sort of. But the nature of companies that come varies, right? If you want to work for a Samsung, then you're obviously either in communication design, product design, or strategic design, right? Whereas if you're working for a Sabya, or you're working for a Myntra or a Shoppers Stop or retail, then you're obviously coming from interiors or even fashion, or mostly likely fashion. So domains will vary, not the compensation so much.
All right. Vidya is asking the last question. What do the students do at tech companies besides UI UX design? Is there
good question. Well, let's be, in all fairness, majority of them do user experience, user interface and domains. That's the sunshine industry of sorts. So those who go into technology firms get either from the strategic design management side, which is that they help strategize through the lens of design. And the other space is the UX UI, which is of course the bigger space. But that's a good question. She already knows what they do.
Right. I think with that, we've come to the end of all the questions. Bulbul, Abhyuday has been fantastic. So everyone out here, I'm going to share the application form link again. I think I missed sharing it out earlier. So I'm going to share it now, both on YouTube and in the chat. It would be great if you guys click on this link. Now, there's a reason we're asking you to click on this link and apply through this, because this link tracks that the students of DQ Labs have clicked on this link. It goes to Abhyuday and his team will handle this. So there's specific support for students who click from this link from DQ Labs. All right.
So we should expect toppers when they come through this link. Is it, Dion?
Absolutely. All our students are toppers.
Yeah, congratulations. I saw some posts from DQ Labs on an All India top few ranks. So heartiest congratulations once again.
Thanks so much. Bulbul, it's been brilliant. Wonderful presentation, wonderful conversation. There's another question. Go on. Yeah.
So I've already applied, but I don't remember that I applied from the link which you shared. I went to the website.
Just let us know. Connect with Swati from our team, and Swati will help you out. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Juhi, I'm not sure if you missed the discussion on the summer school.
Yeah, I did. I just joined now, so that's the reason. I'm sorry.
Yes, no worries. It's been covered.
Okay, I'll see the video then.
Yes. Okay. All right. Big thank you to Bulbul, of course, and Abhyuday for handling all of this and making sure. He called me up in the morning, said, what is expected. So I think the team is on the ball of everything. Adnan, again, a big support from the back end. But I love the team from ISDI. They're always on the ball with everything. So well planned, well executed. Thanks so much. And looking forward to a lot more interaction with you guys.
Wonderful evening. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.